What's up, Barefoot Nation? Today I'm going to show you how I winterize my pond. Let's go. Alright guys, so what you're going to notice is my pond looks quite a bit different from when it did during summertime. There are a couple things that you really need to remember and do when overwintering your pond in a colder climate. If you live anywhere south of probably zone 8, where you really don't see freezing temperatures that much, you'd have kind of a different process like without the de-icer. But the first thing to remember is that if you live in a climate where your water freezes, then you're gonna need to have something, whether it's a de-icer or in my case a stock tank heater, to keep a hole in the ice. This one I just bought off Amazon, and that's what that little branding thing is. And this keeps the water at about 35 degrees is when it kicks on, and it shuts off at 40. So this keeps the koi nice and toasty warm. And really, ice would only develop, in my case, around the very edge of the pond. Another thing that's really important with a pond, whether it's winter or summer, is aeration. Personally, I choose to leave my waterfalls running all year. You don't have to do that in your pond, but it adds, you'll see cool ice formations at the waterfall, and in the case with that heater, in addition to a couple other benefits, you'll see like steam rising from the mini biofalls, and the birds, because the stream is always thawed, the birds will fight to have a position in this area of the stream to bathe in the winter. They love splashing around even if it's January. Another thing to remember is to cut back all deciduous plants in your pond. Now in a cold climate, that's basically everything, with the exception of zone 5 and up, that Japanese Acorus there, the Liriope there that's in the water. Now, I said earlier that having a heater has an advantage over just a de-icer. A de-icer is just going to keep a hole in the ice of your pond, whereas this keeps the pond from freezing. That means I can grow some pretty tropical plants in my pond. This is an umbrella palm, a dwarf, and this is a perennial. I just treat it just as you would a pickerel rush or an iris, and I just cut it back. The heater keeps it very warm, so it gives you an advantage of being able to grow some pretty unique plants in your pond. On that end of the pond, I have a red water dock and an elephant ear that stay in the pond all year. The elephant ear gets cut back. The one thing with the elephant ears is be sure to, and this one is not in a situation like that, but be sure to, if you want them to grow big, to have them in deeper water. What that's going to do is preserve more of that shoot so that you're not starting purely from the bulb every spring. So basically, it preserves, the warm water will preserve a little bit of stem tissue, and then it'll come up bigger in spring. In addition to cutting back deciduous plants, or plants that go dormant fully in the winter, you're going to want to get a net. In my case, this is a Aquascape skimmer net, and it's basically like a modified pool skimmer where that mesh is really fine, and you can see that it catches everything in the water, including the organic matter. So what you're going to want to do is scoop leaf debris out, and there's a frog right there, so I'm going to try not to disturb him too much, at least. You're going to want to scoop out this leaf debris, or at least a lot of it. I do try to leave in some because the frogs do like, and that's kind of a no-no, but the frogs do like to bury themselves in mud or leaves or anything like that. You can see any water hyacinth or anything like that you have left over in the pond. And there's another frog in there too. Anything like that, you're going to want to get out and compost that or get rid of it. Now what I do with my leaves is I have them in my skimmer net, and I'm going to double check that I didn't catch any frogs, and I take them and dump them to give the bamboo some mulch. Another thing that's going to have to happen a little more regularly at the end of the season is cleaning the skimmer. Now, what I do is I also will take my hand and clean the pump, the intake on the pump, because that'll often get, with this El Cheapo skimmer, this often gets kind of clogged with leaf debris and crap. If you had a nicer skimmer like a Micro Skim or really any Aquascape product, or like a Skim Cove or something like that, you wouldn't really have this problem. Now, as you can see, the net is clean, the pad is clean, and the pump doesn't have debris on it, so everything's running nice and smoothly. But just be sure to check on that periodically and throughout the winter too. Alright guys, and the last topic that I'm going to cover is if you guys live in a warmer climate, what you guys are going to do is pretty much along these lines, except if you don't get ice in your climate, you won't need, and you have koi as opposed to tropical fish, you won't need a heater. However, if you have kind of more exotic fish and you are in a kind of a borderline zone for them, you might want to put a heater in anyway. You know, just to ensure that they're comfortable. But koi don't need a heater anywhere, you know, and native fish as well, you know, north of probably zone 8. But just be careful. I mean, I would always err on the side of caution. If you think your pond is going to freeze over, be sure to drop in a heater, because it's just easy like that. The other thing is, too, never use like a tool to break the ice, because you're going to startle your fish. They're kind of groggy, and you'll certainly freak them out. If you don't have a heater yet, having a pot of not boiling but warm water and melting a decent sized hole in the ice is kind of a good substitute until, you know, your heater comes in, which would be like your primary method of de-icing. You know, but you're still cutting down your aquatic plants, you're still leaving the waterfall running for aeration, and you know, if you don't have deciduous plants, if everything is kind of tropical and you don't have the organic matter, then, you know, cleaning your skimmer is the same as normal. Alright guys, if you liked the video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell. Drop a like if you found it helpful or you liked it. Let me know down in the comments what you guys do with how to winterize your pond. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know, maybe I missed something. And what zone do you live in? Do you guys have to deal with ice and winter for an extended period of time? Or are you lucky enough to live in more of a tropical zone? I also wanted to thank Diane D for the video idea. And if you guys have an idea for a video, be sure to drop it down in the comments and I'll see what I can do about making it. Thanks for watching.